exciting topic. Who here, raise your hand, has heard of placenta-autophagy, placenta encapsulation? Everyone in here, I'm assuming, has? Okay. And who knows nothing about it? Raise your hand. If you know nothing, you're dead. You just want one more. If you've heard a little bit about it. A little bit? Okay. You know a lot about it. You just want to know more. Okay. Awesome. Hopefully all your questions are going to be answered here. Placenta-autophagy, placenta encapsulation is new, current for where we are right now in our day and age, but also very old. Okay? I believe it's one of the best things that a postpartum mama and family and dad and baby can do to help in recovery, to help in bleeding, to help in breast milk production, and we'll discuss all those wonderful things. Okay? Kind of have a format here. We're going to go through the history. We're going to talk about some of the properties of it hormonally. We're going to talk about nutrition in it. We're going to talk about all the reasons you would want to do this. Okay? I know it's different. I know some people think it's strange. My whole job and the reason I love it is to normalize placenta encapsulation. I want your doctor coming up to you after you deliver and saying, "Where does your placenta go?" And you're going to know exactly where it goes, and you're going to research me, and then you're going to want to do it. So a little bit about me. I'm Rachel. I have been in the childbirth world for about 20 years, and placenta encapsulation I've been doing about 10 years. So I think I'm one of the longest placenta encapsulators in the state. Super fun stuff. So I'm going to sit down if anybody needs to see me, and we're going to just kind of go through this thing. I want to announce as well, before I start, I got married today. So this is my husband over here.
I'm the lucky guy. Over here.
So I apologize. I'm doing a little bit of reading and things like that, okay? Because I tried to squeeze in doing this conference and getting married. It's been a crazy last month or so for my life. So just bear with me, okay?
Well, you look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, so like I said, I believe placenta encapsulation can be one of the best ways a mama can take care of herself postpartum. And how she eats and what her diet does incorporate will make a difference on the health of her placenta as well. So diet during pregnancy will go on to increase nutrient content and potential hormonal balance in placenta for more benefits during your postpartum time. So we're going to talk a little bit about herbology at the end. I had a nutrition herbology class I was supposed to teach you. Well, we're probably not going to get to that today. But I want you to know that when it does come to placenta encapsulation and you are considering encapsulating your placenta, taking care of yourself and what you're eating will make a difference because all of that's going to go into your placenta and it's going to keep hormone balance regulated and things like that. So just a little bit how I got into this. I heard about it about 12, 13 years ago. I went to a water birth conference for the UMO, which is the midwifery organization. I'm also a midwife. And there was a midwife there named Cornelia Enning. She's a German midwife. She was amazing, loved her to death. And she starts talking about these tinctures. Yeah, she starts talking about these tinctures that they're doing with placentas. And I was like, wow, this is super fascinating. I have to know more about this. So I started researching a little bit more, and there's not a ton of information out there about it, guys, and especially 12 years ago when I started researching it. And I realized that as a midwife, I was watching my mamas, and they had dealt with these postpartum issues that just seemed like so problematic, you know? And already having a baby in and of itself is problematic. I mean, it's just hard to have a baby, especially with your first, and then with your second because you have a first, and then with your third because you got a second and a first, right? And so I really wanted to help out this situation, and as an herbalist, I found a lot of wonderful things with herbs that I was doing as well. And I thought maybe I can help them even more. So I asked a client if I could do it for her, and she, you know, kind of scrunched up her face. Really? Yeah, try it. You know, she just seemed like someone who would be willing to do it, and she said she would. And so it was really great because she tried it, and we were able to alleviate some of the postpartum issues that she was dealing with. And so I started then just asking my clients, would you be interested in this? Have you ever heard about it? You know, and they're, you know, I don't know, maybe, blah, 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 blah. And they started doing it. I said, I think it'll really help you. So I saw these amazing benefits. And as I was researching it, I actually found that we are one of the few and rare mammals who don't ingest our placentas. And it was during this time, the interesting thing about this is during this time that I was researching placenta encapsulation, I homeschooled my children as well. I'm super hippie here, guys. And homeschooling my kids, and our cat we had like 16 kittens at one point in my house. We had like 3 cats, and they just would go, and they were all getting pregnant. Anyways, and so we had these kittens that were being born. So for homeschool, we went to watch these kittens be born. It was fascinating to watch this cat, what it was going to do with the placenta after the kittens were born. And it did. They come out, the placentas are seriously like that big. It's like the cutest thing ever. And they're all still attached to them. And then, it took a good probably 3 or 4 hours before the mom had ingested all the placentas, but she did. It was totally innate. She wanted to. She looked at them, she ate them, and that's how it worked for her. Okay, so first off, we're going to talk about the history. And please know this is the first time I've ever used a PowerPoint. So I'm excited. I feel very professional right now. I'm just going to say that. History of placenta encapsulation. So it's gone throughout many cultures, and it has been known as the tree of life to most cultures. If you look at a placenta and you lay it on its backside, it really does have this beautiful branching that's going on with the arteries that really does create kind of a tree of life image. And it's been an honored organ throughout many tribes, many peoples throughout history. One of the most popular and widely used methods is the traditional Chinese method, and it was started as being seen as a sacred organ full of life force, and it should be consumed after delivery to help mother heal and to help her kind of bring back to her the things that she lost. So, though I don't think that this technique is ideal to keep nutrient and hormone content, many indigenous tribes have used it. So first known, as you can see here, recorded use of human placentophagy is in China in 1575. His name is Li Shi Zhen, and he wrote about it in this book right here. And then we have scattered documentation of dry placenta prescribed as a remedy in Europe during the 1700s. It really didn't get here in America until about the 1980s, and a midwife named Raven Lang brought it to a MANA conference, which is the midwives of North America. And that's how we got it here. So, like I said, I'm just going to go through why would we want to ingest our placentas? Why would it be beneficial? Why is it, like I said, one of the most awesome things that you can do? So first we're going to talk about the hormones, because really when it comes to placenta encapsulation, placentophagy, we are doing natural hormonal therapy. Okay? So science now shows all that's contained within the placenta, and all of my research says that it makes logical sense that ingesting your placenta would be beneficial to help with hormones. Because during your pregnancy, you are producing tons and tons of hormones. So this is what happens. Your endocrine system, does anybody know what the endocrine system is? Somebody tell me what the endocrine system is. Who can describe it real quickly for me?
The hormones.
They're hormones, that's right. That's right. That's right. They're signals that go tell the body what to do, right? This is what the endocrine system does. Now, about halfway through your pregnancy, the placenta takes up hormone production that the endocrine system normally does. And so the endocrine system is kind of like silent, on the down low, not producing hormones as much. And so what ends up happening is once the placenta, so while you're pregnant, you're producing all these wonderful hormones, and the placenta is producing itself. So if the placenta is producing them, where are they? In the placenta, right? So then once the placenta is delivered, the endocrine system has to once again step up and do its job of hormone production. And studies, my research says that studies state that within 48 to 72 hours after delivery, hormone levels are going to drop. So who's had a baby and after 3 days to a week are crying and just going, I can't handle this, I'm super overwhelmed, this is too much for me. Okay? That's because your placenta is now not doing this job anymore, and your endocrine system's going, oh, this is now my job again, and I haven't been doing it for the last 6 months. And so once it starts doing that, it takes a while. Studies say it can take anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks. Guys, that's 3 months. 3 months after you deliver. And who here's had a baby and said at 3 months, oh my gosh, I feel normal again. My 3-month mark was always 3 or 4 months. I'm back to feeling like myself again. Okay? So, 2 main factors stating having symptoms of postpartum depression, studies say, come from drops in estrogen and progesterone levels during delivery, or after delivery. So supplemental estrogen and progesterone given postpartum has been found to alleviate depressed symptoms. So we're just going to look here, and we're going to look at this progesterone during pregnancy. This is maternal plasma. This is what we're producing, okay? We have milliliters across the top. We have weeks of pregnancy across the top. So we're starting here about 5 weeks, right? And I said we're about 20 milliliters. By the time we're 40 to 42 weeks, we're almost 150 milliliters. That's 10 times the progesterone that you started out with, that the placenta is going to have in it, encased in it at delivery. Okay? So then if we move on to the estrogen level, so we have 3 forms of estrogen here. This is unconjugated estrogens during pregnancy and weeks of pregnancy again. So we're going to start about 1.5 in milliliters. We're going to take it up, I had it up to about 17.5. Again, we have a 10-fold increase in estrogen. So some drugs that are given after delivery, Premarin. Does anybody know what Premarin is? You want to tell me what it is? Premarin. Pregnant male mare urine. Okay, so we diagnose Premarin to women for postpartum depression, and it is pregnant mare urine. Okay, a lot of women struggle with thyroid, adrenal problems after pregnancy that they're claiming is causing postpartum depression. People take it, it's called Armour, and it's from cows and pigs. Okay, so a lot of people have a hard time with this placenta idea, but we are more than willing to take animals or horse urine. Okay, no problem. So let's just think about that. So how this plays into placenta encapsulation is that all the necessary hormones for healthy postpartum experience are already within the placenta itself. Okay, best part is all these hormones are already yours. They're already all yours. Okay, you already created them all, and to me, I'd rather take mine than the cows or pigs or a horse. Okay, so next we're going to look at some of the chemical composition. I like people to read. These are big words. Who can read for me though and isn't okay reading? Thank you.
The chemical composition of placenta is exceedingly complex, and we are still unsure exactly what hormones are needed and why during your postpartum experience. Among the more important known ingredients are gonadotropins, prolactin, oxytocin, thyroid-stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estriol, corticotropin, releasing hormone, progesterone, relaxin, estradiol, human placental lactogen, follicle-stimulating hormone, thyroid-stimulating hormone, sex hormones, cortisone, interferon, urokinase.
Okay, these aren't hormones so much. These are actually enzymes that are going on. Then we have phosphorus and sugars. All the valued hormones. Thank you so much. You did awesome there, by the way, with that. All the valued hormones are a considerable part of what makes the placenta vital. Look at that. All of those wonderful things. So prolactin, just so you know, is actually what helps produce breast milk. Isn't that awesome? Do you know what relaxin is? Whoever breastfed their baby and wants to sleep as soon as your letdown happens. It's like, I'm out, man. That. And if you're stressed and you breastfeed, just so you know, latch that baby on. It just makes you feel so good. Okay? So you see all of these wonderful hormones are all encased in your placenta. So I want to talk about my favorite hormone. Does anybody know oxytocin is in here? Thank you. Did you know we like to call Pitocin the same as oxytocin? Who knows what Pitocin is? Synthetic. It's synthetic oxytocin. Does it work the same?
No.
No, it does not. We can't quite make the love bonding connection of oxytocin that it gives us the same as Pitocin. Pitocin will go ahead and contract your uterus, but it's not going to give you that bonding and connection. Okay, I need somebody else who wants to read for me. Come on, guys. I'm going to pick. Awesome. Thank you. Go for it, Lacey.
Oxytocin promotes attachment. Pregnant women with higher levels of oxytocin during their first trimester bonded more strongly with their babies after they were born, according to a 2007 study in the journal Physiological Science, and compared with other women with higher levels throughout their pregnancy and in the first month after birth reported engaging in more behaviors such as singing, feeding, and bathing their infants in specific ways that promoted an exclusive relationship between the two in the study.
So, oxytocin is one of the highest hormones that sit within your placenta. The problem that I saw with these moms that I was working with is that they were struggling with nursing. They were struggling with healing. They were struggling with bleeding. They were struggling with feeling upset. And guess what all those things did? They made it so that baby and that bonding and that connection was difficult. It made it harder. And they wanted to. Like, that's all. They've been waiting 9 months to see this baby and hold this baby, and that's all they wanted to do. And so really, I gotta be honest, this hormone for placenta encapsulation is what I love. Because not only is the placenta itself, all the wonderful other things it does, going in and helping that mom and baby heal, it's helping them connect. It's giving her even more of that loving hormone and that bonding hormone. Okay, I need someone else, one more person who wants to read. Thank you.
Oxytocin solidifies relationships. Comparing urine levels of oxytocin and a related hormone called vasopressin in biological and adopted children who lived in Russian and Romanian orphanages, researchers found that oxytocin rose in biological children after having contact with their mothers. The study, published in 2005 in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, showed that oxytocin levels remained static in the adopted children in the same situation, suggesting a physiological basis for why some adopted children have difficulty forming secure relationships.
So it's vital. It's vital. We have adopted children who are still struggling. I often wonder, like, seriously want to go to adopted moms and like, take this placenta, just try it, and we'll see, you know, we can help that baby bond a little bit. Okay, we're going to move on now to nutrition. Yes.
I have a quick question. So are you saying that if you're, so just your last comment, could the adoptive mother actually ingest the placenta?
That's a good question, huh?
That too.
I was just asked that on the news. You know, you have the health department that says you're going to you're going to deal with bloodborne diseases potentially that could be passed on to somebody else. I've had people take it. I've had people take other people's placentas. I don't have an answer for you. I wish I did. But in all honesty, I'm convinced, and we'll talk a little about science in a minute, but I'm convinced science just hasn't caught up to this. And I think once science starts catching up with this, there's a lot of awesome things, I think. I mean, if we're taking urine from a pregnant mare, what can we do with these placentas? I mean, that's how I see it. So I don't have an answer, but I've had other people who have given it for because anybody know about stem cell research, what stem cells do in cord blood? Yeah, it does amazing things. And so, in my opinion, there's so much unknown still to the placenta. I mean, like I said, this has been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years now, to a certain extent, but we don't have the science to back it up. And I think we want the science, but my personal research that I've done with my clients, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, you guys. I can't even tell you. And it's not. I take a placenta and I take herbs and I put it together, and that's what does it. That's the beautiful thing about it. Okay. So let's move on to nutrients within the placenta. So along with the wonderful hormones present within the placenta, it's also chock full of nutrients and enzymes. Enzymes are the lock and key to nutrient absorption. We'll talk about enzymes in just a minute. They help to open the cell structure, let proper healthful nutrients in. Retaining enzyme activity is vital in truly aiding the mother in receiving the benefits of her placenta. Okay, so here's some of the nutrients that we've got going on here. Of course, glucose, energy source, lipid, fatty acids. Who takes essential fatty acids all the time? You got those going on there. Vitamins. We still aren't even sure of all the potential that lies within the placenta nutrient-wise. Okay, B12. I put this up. Does anybody know what B12 is as well? We take our B vitamins. Do you know why we take B vitamins? With their energy, they're great for energy. They're also called happy vitamins. So I got a depressed mom who comes for me to help. I'm going to put her on B vitamins, specifically B6 and B12. Okay, and so I find it fascinating that we have got lots of Bs. Vitamin K. Do you know what vitamin K does? Blood clotting. Isn't that pretty cool? They give your baby a shot after delivery, or they can do it orally now as well for blood clotting. You know, if you drink green smoothie and you placenta take your placenta, probably wouldn't be necessarily as much of an issue, right? I'm guesstimating, but that's kind of what I think. So I do believe that these nutrients help speed up recovery time, help replace lost nutrients during pregnancy and delivery, boost immunity through breast milk to baby. Lastly, do some research, like I said, on stem cells in cord blood. It's amazing what those can do. Okay, so now we're going to go through real quick, just so you know, there are a few processing techniques of the placenta. Okay, and And as it is highly nutritive organ, along with hormonally rich, how processing of the placenta happens is of utmost importance in our current day of placenta encapsulation. There are only 2 common forms that I am aware of, with one unknown process that I and my business partner developed over the last year. I think we're the first commercially available supplier, and we just put it in patent so everybody can know now we freeze dry. Okay, but for a long time I couldn't tell anyone, and that's what we do is we freeze dry the placenta. And I believe that it gives you the highest benefits, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so I'm going to discuss first the Chinese method, and then move on to comparing the 2 most common forms that you're going to get. The most common is the Chinese method, and then you're going to get dehydration is what most people are going to do, and then we're going to discuss freeze drying. Okay, so there are other forms of processing such as tinctures. Anybody know what a tincture is? It's alcohol based. Yeah, which is a liquid. I've had clients who come to me and want a tincture when their placenta pills are done. They want to be able to keep on going. You know, they want something to last them a little longer, so they'll end up doing a tincture. There are those people who will cook their placentas like hamburger, put them in truffles. You're denaturing, adulterating all your hormones and enzymes and nutrients. It can still be beneficial, maybe like a steak or something, but you're losing a lot of what's in there. And of course, there is the raw state, which does no processing. I have taken raw placenta as a midwife, just so you know. I do take placenta if I've got a bleeding mom, and I will put it under her tongue. Does anybody know why I would do that? I see head shaking. There's some people who would know. You want to say why I would do that?
My sister-in-law did that.
And it stops bleeding because of the oxytocin, right? So we're getting the oxytocin in your bloodstream, and you can stop bleeding quite quickly just by a blood. I know people are like,
You just grab some of her placenta.
cut a piece off and I stick it under her tongue. Yeah, I cleaned it off. It's not just-
Cultures will do that.
Yeah, it works well. It works really well. And so then I have mamas who, it takes 48 hours usually, well my processing takes 48 hours, and I have mamas who they don't want to miss that time. They still are afraid they're going to struggle, so I've gone and made them smoothies. They don't taste it, we refrigerate them, they think it's delicious, and it helps keep up blood hormonal levels so they're still feeling good. Okay, so let's see, I need another reader. Who wants to read it for me? Anyone? Go ahead, thank you.
In the TCM method of placenta encapsulation, once the placenta is cleaned, it is steamed, i.e. warmed, gently on both sides before it is dehydrated. During the steaming step, the water used to steam is enhanced with the use of warming herbs. Lemon and ginger are most commonly used because they are both warming and aided in distributing the healing properties of the placenta throughout the body. Interestingly enough, on this site, she goes on to state that with the TCM method, the placenta is not cooked, so it still retains all of its nutrients. Unfortunately, this is not true.
Well, look at this, guys. And we're going to talk about enzymes, but I just want you to be aware of the steam that's coming off that thing, okay? So water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius. Right there already show that 212 degrees enzymes are dead or totally inactive. I'll talk about that in a minute and why. So to take it one step further, steam occurs when water goes above 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hotter than water when it is at a stable point. While water boils at 212 degrees, steam is at a much higher temperature as water turns to vapor. So as the steam turns to vapor, it increases in heat. This will all come together in a minute, just a sec, and then we'll move on to the idea of enzymes, okay? This you'll see is denaturing and adulterating this placenta. So let's move on to enzymes so we understand enzymes. Because we're taking our placentas for 3 reasons. I did state this, which I should have. We're taking our placentas for hormones, enzymes, and nutrients. Those 3 things are what give us all the beautiful benefits that we get from our placentas. Okay? So here is an enzyme. So enzymes are created with the pancreas. We have 3 types of enzymes: digestive, metabolic, and food. And enzymes are similar to a lock and key structure. So a substrate, just so you see here, is the external part of a structure. Okay? And once an enzyme becomes denatured, it can change in shape. So what happens is here you have the cell structure. Here you have the enzyme activity. It's going to come in, and the enzyme's got food, or it's got some process that it needs to build within the body. Now, enzymes are everything. Metabolic enzymes run every process of the body. Okay, they're catalysts. So what we're going to do is they're going to come in. So if we take an enzyme from a food source and we heat it, that then changes shape, and guess what happens? tries to sit in the cell for nutrients to be absorbed, and they can't. Because it's like trying to put your key into somebody else's car. You're never going to get that car started because you can't get your key in there. Okay? We're not going to talk a ton about metabolic enzymes. Digestive and food enzymes are what we're mostly going to talk about. So, I'm going to go ahead and read these real quick. Metabolic enzymes run the body. They exist throughout the body in the organs, the bones, the blood, and inside the cells themselves. These enzymes are instrumental in the growth of new cells and the maintenance of all tissue. Every organ and tissue has its own group of specialized enzymes. They are trained to run and maintain their host. When these enzymes are healthy, robust, and present in adequate numbers, they do an excellent job of carrying out their mission. My 15-year-old son did this. You guys like all the screen changes? So nice, right? Digestive enzymes are made by our body's organs. Digestive enzymes are secreted by the salivary glands, stomach, pancreas, and small intestine. So just so you know, normally the pancreas produces all the enzymes. So this is why we don't have to eat all of our food in a raw state, because we can cook our food, and our enzymes, our pancreas will produce these wonderful digestive enzymes, and they'll go ahead and digest our food for us. I do believe a lot of our osteoporosis problems are because we are having to use so many enzymes and we're denaturing our food. Okay, but then on top of it, just so you know, what ends up happening is the pancreas has a certain amount of, it's kind of like a woman with her eggs, has a certain amount of enzymes stored within the body. This is what makes us age. So when your pancreas is shot, or you are a really unhealthy eater, you're most likely going to look more aged as time goes on. Okay, so technically digestive enzymes are also considered to be metabolic enzymes whose metabolic role is to digest food. We are specifically distinguishing these enzymes here because they deal with digestion, and they can be, you can get enzymes from a supplemented source. And just on a side note, I'm a huge advocate of enzymes as a supplement. Okay, food enzymes are already present within the food. We eat, food enzymes exist naturally in raw food. If the food is cooked, however, in high temperature involved in the cooking process will destroy the enzymes. So, and then lastly, digestive enzymes and food enzymes basically serve the same function, which is to digest our food so it can be absorbed through the wall of the small intestine and into the bloodstream. From this viewpoint, the only real difference between food enzymes and digest is whether they come from the food outside our body or from the food we eat. So this is how it works. Well, let me say. So what is considered high temperature or denatured adulterate enzymes? My research says about 140 degrees. We're starting to denature and adulterate and make those little lock and keys turn into different shapes. Okay?
104.
104. It's pretty low, right? And it works on a bell curve like here. So here we have reaction with velocity to heat, and this is as we turn up the temperature. So we have increased activity. We do have an optimum temperature for most foods, which usually doesn't exceed, my research says it's about 125 degrees. You get to 130, 140, 150 degrees, you're killing all your enzymes. Well, like I said, your pancreas will make up for it, but once the enzymes are dead, we're not uptaking lots of our nutrients as well. Okay, hence the reason, like I said, arthritis and osteoporosis. So once an enzyme becomes inactive, it is no longer available to uptake the needed nutrients from that particular food you just eaten. So it becomes difficult to increase or maintain a healthy body without eating significant amounts of raw fruits and vegetables. Hence, a denatured or adulterated enzyme stimulates a denatured and adulterated placenta, which creates limited absorption and assimilation into. Now, lots of people do this form of placenta encapsulation, and lots of people still claim benefits. But I have talked to women who still aren't finding the benefits from having a better processing. Okay? And it just makes sense to me that once those enzymes are killed and those hormones are vital and those nutrients are vital, she's not going to uptake all the wonderfulness that her placenta offers. Alrighty. So in the processing of the traditional Chinese medicine, it's now clear that though women claim to find benefits with this process, I'm still convinced they're missing imperative components with their placentas because they're steaming and that would aid more greatly in their healing and overall health. Okay. Moving on to dehydrating versus freeze drying. So the most common process of the next most common process of placenta are dehydration. And I would say everyone I've ever met, those are the two forms that does placenta encapsulation that people are. So my personal research and experience has found there are still downsides to this form of processing. Quite a few actually. So most placenta encapsulators use this form believe they are preserving more hormones, enzymes, and nutrients which they are in comparison to the Chinese method, I'll be honest, because a lot of them, I ate a raw food diet for 7 years. I'm an advocate of it, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the placenta encapsulators are stating that you can still turn it up. You can turn it up to whatever, and it will process faster. Now, in the past, I've done this form, and it took me a good 24 plus hours. So when a placenta encapsulator tells you she can get it back to you in 24 hours, I am not sure she's processing at the temperatures that she might be claiming to be. So just be aware of that. There is an idea that dehydration at lesser temperature can retain all the needed components. My experience says that's not truly the case. It's just so you know, the raw method is often preferred by proponents of a raw diet. 118 degrees, they're claiming, in theory, is where it needs to be at. And so, while I appreciate 118 degrees could be a temperature to maintain more health properties, it isn't a consistent, stable temperature in the dehydrating unit itself. Almost most encapsulators I've met increase the temperature beyond 118. But that number varies widely. Some people will tell you, oh, it's only 150, I'll still be fine with enzyme. So, but that's not been my experience. So, freeze-dried placenta, a dehydrated placenta, this is kind of just a little graph I made with what I believe. Here, as you can see, nutrient hormonal concentrations are not retained near as well in dehydrated in comparison to freeze-drying. This is mostly discussing nutrients. So moms lose up to 40% of indispensable nutrient and hormone and enzyme activity. So dehydration leaves the environment, the placenta itself, also open to potential bacteria. That's the concern as well. Because of its production surface, it's just air moving, and it's just a little unit. If anybody's seen a dehydrator, you can take the lid on and off. So food handling standards state that anything left in a heated environment for an extended period of time above 145 degrees below 140 degrees can breed bacteria. So the active sublimation with freeze-drying your placenta decreases the risk of bacteria production as well. It's actually using pressure and freezing to get that process complete, okay? And the freezing process is going to at least silence that bacteria, okay? And if it's your own placenta, once it digests and moisture, it's going to be all your own bacteria in it. So lastly, we're going to watch a quick video. Now, this is just a video showing a woman had bought some freeze-dried vegetables. She's got this really cute southern accent, but it's literally just home video like, I bought these guys, and this is what this looks like, and this is what this looks like. But it gives a good idea. What I want you to notice in this video is, I want you to notice the color. Let's actually just look even right now. I'm just going to point this out. Well, she's going to show you the peas because the peas works best. I'm not going to show you the whole video. I'm only going to show you part of it. These are, does anybody want to guess which side's the dehydrated side?
The left.
Why? Tell me why you say that. What does brown color mean? What does brown color mean?
Oxidation.
Oxidation. With oxidation, we're losing what? Nutrients. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So over here, and you can see these look like, if you didn't know, it looks like a banana. And so we're just going to watch the video. Look at the peas. Look at the shape. Look at the size. Look at the color. Look at the consistency, and you'll see a difference.
I just did a video about freeze-dried cheese, and when I made that video, I meant to mention the difference between freeze-dried foods and dehydrated foods, because if you've never bought freeze-dried, you probably don't even know that there is a difference, and there is, and I can show you the difference. Here I have some peas that I dehydrated, and you can see how they shrivel up when you dry them out. And here are some peas that are freeze-dried. I just bought these because the peas that I dehydrate myself, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but they don't rehydrate well. And I wanted to be able to throw some peas into stews or pot pies or into fried rice that would rehydrate as quickly as potatoes and carrots. And those peas just don't do it. So I ordered the freeze-dried, and I'm very impressed with these peas. Here's some that have been in water. It's just warm water for about 4 minutes, and they are completely rehydrated, and they taste just like fresh peas, straight out of the garden fresh peas. And you see, if you're used to dehydrated foods, you have the shrinkage, and then when you add the water back into them, they'll come back to a full size like those peas. But when you buy freeze-dried, what you get is what you basically end up with. You see, there's really no difference in the size once they rehydrate. And the freeze-dried foods are very light. If you think dehydrated are light, these are like styrofoam. It's amazing how they do that. I don't even know how they do it, but it's just like styrofoam where you can hear the difference between the two.
I used to work for a company that sold food storage for several years supplies and stuff like that. And their technique was freeze drying versus dehydrating. And they actually, as an employee, they had us taste, see, feel the different textures and everything like that. And you can taste the difference in the nutrients.
You can.
With freeze
You
drying
can.
versus.
Well, and it's funny too because she even says she prefers the dehydrated bananas because they're not as sweet. Well, of course they're going to be not as sweet because you've killed nutrients and you potentially killed sugars. And so she was like, the other ones are super sweet because it's kept all the sugars intact, right? As it's been freeze dried. So, anyways, it's called freeze dried versus dehydrated. If you're really interested, it's just really cool because you can see in the video that the peas, the dried peas, are brown, they're dark, they're shriveled. You look at the freeze-dried peas, they look exactly like peas. She even comments this and says that they taste. She said, I rehydrate them, and they taste. The other ones are a little chewier. She's not getting the same texture. So you can tell just from looking at that. And we're not stupid people. I mean, we're smart people. And just, so looking at that is, I think, gives us some of the answers. Okay, moving on then. Let's do science of placenta. This is fun. Science of placenta encapsulation. Like, there's nothing. There's nothing, people, okay? I mean, there's very little done on rats. So, what happened there?
Did I steal it?
I don't know. It's stuck on there.
You can go.
I might have hit something. Okay, so, truth be told, there is very little research when it comes to placenta encapsulation. And the majority of the research out there was performed years ago on rats. It started about 1950. There you had it there, yeah. It started about 1950. And we had some stuff done on rats, nothing real great. One of the best studies that I've seen on it really is the prolactin content. They did find that when rats ate their placentas, that they produced more breast milk, right? So that's really nice. The interesting part to me about this is, as humans, what is it about us that if we don't know it, and it's not normal, and it's not within our realm of understanding, what do we want to do? We usually want to go, we reject it. That's like the first thing we want to do to it, right? So it's been fascinating to me that people, I appreciate that people think it's so different and strange. But at the same time, I think we should have a little bit broader mind. Like I said, going back to the Premarin and the animal products that we already use in a lot of our medications. So one of the most recent articles on research and placenta encapsulation was published in 2015 by Northwestern University. Of course, the title of the article is very negative, calling it trendy. Everyone wants to use it trendy. It's a fad. Who here seriously does something because they heard that January Jones did it? Really, raise your hand. If somebody famous did it, so I'm gonna do it. It's ridiculous. Oh, we buy, like, seriously, they put that in the paper and we buy into it. Anyways, the funny thing is then it goes on to claim that there's no scientific proof that there's benefits. There's no scientific proof that there's not. So there you go, okay? In fact, it's quoted in an article as saying, I'm going to read this because this is in that article, and I love this quote. So somebody, who wants to read this for me? Go for it.
There are a lot of subjective reports from women who perceived benefits, but there hasn't been any systematic research investigating the benefits or the risk of placenta ingestion.
Pause. Someone tell me what that says. So we looked at subjective, we looked at perceived. Okay, so there's been subjective reports. What does that mean? My placenta worked for me. They perceived it worked for them. She's so good with this. Systematic research, there's none. She says there hasn't been any systematic research investigating the benefits or the risks. We don't have any research. But this whole article says it has risks. I mean, the way they put that information out there, we need to be scared of this thing. Okay? Go ahead and read the rest of that for me.
Oh. The studies on mice aren't translatable into human benefits.
So someone tell me just real quick what that whole quote says.
We don't know.
We don't know. It says we don't know. And if we do know, we can't take the studies that are already done and turn it into humans. Yeah.
Well, if they did a human study,
Yes.
all they would be doing was taking these subjects and saying, do you have any perceived benefits?
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I love that because the whole thing has a whole negative connotation, and she was smart. And you have to read the fine print, honestly, in some of this stuff. And so I was like, perfect. This is perfect. This is exactly what I want. You said nothing. You said absolutely nothing there. So thank you. So we, anyways, okay. Where are we? So there are a couple studies I have found, like I said, on the past with rats. On a side note, I'd like to make about research is also about how the processing the placenta. So this is the funny thing. Once research comes out, and I hope to be part of that research, but once research comes out, I think when this information comes out, just wonder how it's been processed. If we're cooking that placenta and then we're trying to find those benefits, it'll be interesting to see what those benefits are. Now, lastly, as I talk about science, as I said earlier, I think science sometimes takes a while to catch up, okay? So what I mean by that is you had Semmelweis, who in 1847 worked in maternity wards. Childbed fever was a real big deal. 10% of moms and babies were dying from childbed fever. He found that chlorinated lime water, washing your hands, they were going doing autopsies, they were working in other parts of the hospital. If he went and washed his hands in this stuff, he took that maternity ward down from 10% of childbed fever to 1%. Now, he fought for this belief so hard in his life, and at the time, the medical community, this was, no, that is not right. In fact, to the point that I do believe he was institutionalized and beaten to death for what he believed. Lister and Pasteur, almost 50 years later, came out with the germ theory, which said what? Washing your hands does it, people. So I think we just need science to catch up to this.